Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. Want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we speak with Jesse Cruz. He lives in upstate New York with his wife and children. The Cruz family currently serves at Cross Creek Church. He has proudly served our country as an Iraq War veteran of the U.S. Army. Jesse is the program coordinator of the Wayne County Youth Advocate Programs Incorporated. In addition to his career, he speaks at correctional facilities and coaching sports. He has a BA in Community Youth Development at Nazareth College. Currently, Jesse is pursuing his Master's in Theology at Colgate, Rochester, Crozer Divinity School. In his spare time, he enjoys traveling and hiking with family and friends. Jesse is available for speaking engagements and book signings. Let's learn more about Jesse's journey. Jesse, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, man. So, Jesse, we met through the Unconventional Leaders group, Facebook group, and it's been an amazing place where we get to share our knowledge, share our passion. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. You know what you're doing and what's new in your world.
Okay, I'm an author and speaker, a husband and a father, and a sports coach and a youth advocate. So I've been working with youth for over 9 years. I became a published author in 2019. Currently working on my second book and going to be starting with script writing here in the next few weeks. So that's what I'm up to. It's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. So, Jesse, how did you get into, let's say, being a coach, being a speaker? What inspired you to, get to that point?
So, I mean, as far as kind of wrapping those together, because I'd like to tie in the speaking and the writing. Those are huge. I mean, they're both communication. But the writing was birthed through the greatest tragedy I ever went through. And going through that tragedy, I began writing. And the writing piece is what got me through it. And so because of the piece that I felt about writing, about my feelings and my challenges and my setbacks, anything I was going through, I knew that if the writing was helping me through my trauma, I knew that my writing could help someone else go through the challenges that they're going through.
Yeah, so let's dive in a little bit into that. What really happened, and if you want to, I'm sure you've written it all down in the book, Live Your Dash, and discovering I can't read the rest of the cover, discovering the F's to the freedoms.
Yeah, discovering the 8 F's to freedom. Yep.
8 F's to freedom. Okay.
So just to kind of touch on that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the book, and and you said it's the adversity, the thing that you went through that caused you to help you write it out and save you from, I don't even know what I'm talking. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your book?
Absolutely. So it's an inspirational personal growth type book. And so for people to understand the title, when the title states Live Your Dash, the dash is, if you've ever been to a graveyard and you've seen a tombstone, the time they're born is on the left, the time they pass away is on the right, and there's that dash in the middle. And the purpose of the book is to that dash that you're given, which is a small part of the tombstone, which is a huge part of your life. It's because, we don't know when our time is going to end. We have limited time here. We don't know when our last breath is going to come. So while we're here, we need to live our dash purposefully and to find the meaning and use the gifts that we've been given to make this world a better place. And that is how you live a life of purpose and meaning, is when you live it on purpose, not on accident. We're all
Yeah.
designed with a great plan and a great gift. And once you tap into those gifts, then life takes on a whole new meaning, and you're able to help and reach people all over the world. And the second part, the subtitle, the 8 F's, as I was writing, I realized if I was intentional about these 8 areas of my life,
Mm-hmm.
then I would able to live that dash appropriately. And I touch on some of that, whether that's family or friendship or faith or fitness, finances, things like that. Those are all things that we deal with on a regular basis. Those are just some of them. And I was realizing, man, when I'm in tune with these 8 areas of my life and I'm intentionally finding ways to develop them and to grow them, then my
Mm-hmm.
life is much more meaningful.
Absolutely. I caught myself in that mute button while I was burping. So that's really that's really intense, man. Because like your book, it's inspirational. It helps you figure out, and from your own perspective, right? We only get one life to live, so we want to maximize everything that we can. There's a book that's similar. Um, it's called "Die Empty," meaning give all that you got, you know, every day, because you never know when you're gonna go. Just like you mentioned, right? The most certain thing to for all of us is death, and it is also the most uncertain on when it will occur.
Absolutely.
So that's really powerful. So tell us a little bit. Tell us a version of your journey that you haven't spoken about before. Where what some of the things that you were doing, like how did you get into the speaking? Like where did you learn in school or college, and when you were a child? Like, give us a little rundown on Jesse.
Okay. So I mean, you know, I've for I've had quite a variety of life experiences. Whether that's graduating college or going into the military. I was in the Army for about 4 years, so having that
Mhm.
experience as well. Being a single parent, which I was that for years until I met my wife, married now. But what really took um, a whole different path as far as to getting me connected with the writing piece, and connecting and audiences so I can speak and to share my message of hope with others, was my wife and I. We
Mhm.
had been hoping for a child. Um, Despite all the odds, we were fortunate enough to beat the odds, and we gotten pregnant back in 2017. I'm sorry, 2016.
Yeah.
And then our daughter was born in January of 2017. She
Nice.
was born in January, but she
Mhm.
wasn't due until May.
Yeah.
So she was born extremely premature,
Yeah.
in which she was at risk. So she was the utmost risk infant they had in the NICU unit at Strong Hospital up in Rochester, New York.
Mhm.
And so every day she fought for her life. Some days were scary. I watched her flatline multiple times, then come
Wow.
back and beat it. And so it was an emotional roller coaster. And we
Mhm.
didn't know what was going to happen. Her next breath literally could be her last. So just having that weight on your shoulders all the time, I mean, it was like crushing to me. To see her suffering every day, um, I felt trapped in that trauma. And and we got to the point of where we're just like, man, we don't know what to do. I mean, we were just lost. We couldn't, because
Mhm.
we had no control over the circumstances.
Yeah.
And after 42 days of fighting, she lost her life.
Wow.
And from
So.
that,
Mhm.
that's when my writing journey began. Because I knew I knew, obviously I got some severe PTSD and
Mhm.
trauma, and depression and stress and all kinds of things that have come from that traumatic event in my life that I still struggle with. It's been years and I still have some really rough days. You know what I mean? Um, but I've sought treatment and I still do get help as needed. And writing was what was therapy for me. That's what helped me
Mhm.
gather my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, to try to make sense of my life and what I experienced. And I just try to turn my pain into power. I mean, I wanted the pain to serve a purpose, because if you have pain and you don't do anything with it, then it becomes destructive. But if you take pain and you do something constructive with it, it becomes powerful and it brings it to purpose. And that's what I wanted to do.
Absolutely. And man, you said it right on the dot. You gotta convert, you gotta take that pain and you gotta apply it into a positive manner. So because it is energy and you need to redirect it, right? So and you did that with the writing and creating some amazing content that was inspirational, because when you go into it, when you dive into it with intention, you come out of it almost like cured, right? It has that therapeutic effect on you.
Yeah. I mean, it helped me get through it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been just blessed and fortunate enough that this story is now all over the country, and now it's in different countries. And I just think that's the way it worked out in my favor. God blessed me, and now this little 1 pound girl that no one's ever met before, and now their lives are dramatically impacted by her life. I mean, that's just the beauty of it all.
Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you so much for sharing. That was very deep, and it's it's a situation you don't want anybody to be in, right? It's something that not a lot of people will experience, and when you go through that experience, it gives you a perspective that this life is so fragile, and it is a miracle that we even come through the way we were born and everything, right? It's just so powerful.
Definitely.
All right, so what are some of your motivations for the things that you do on a daily basis? And you mentioned you're working on the second book.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, my motivations are definitely for my family,
Mm-hmm.
because I do this for them. I do this for my daughter who's no longer with me. I mean, all that
Yeah.
stuff is for her. I want to do it to carry on her life and her legacy. And I do it for the people because I know I'm not the only one in this world who's suffered. I'm not the only one in this world who's dealing with pain every single day. Everyone has dealt with some type of loss. Everyone has dealt with some type of pain, uncertainty, some trauma.
Yeah.
And my goal is just to help people hurt a little less. Not to say I'm going to give you the cure. I'm going to wave this magic wand and it's all going to go away. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to help you cope with hope. I want to give you encouragement. I want you to heal, and you can only heal when you have hope that you can come out successful on the other
Yeah.
side. Not to say the pain is not there, but it just doesn't consume your life 24/7. Because that's the
Mm-hmm.
spot I was in at one point in my life.
Yeah.
But I was able to overcome that with hope and with faith and love and the right people in my life. And so that's what motivates me, is that I want people to know it's possible. The worst day of your entire life, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
it was, can serve a positive purpose to help someone else who's hurting. Not to say what happened was positive, but there's
Yeah.
some good that can come from it to help others.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Cool, man. Jesse, so you've written one book and it's Live Your Dash, and you're working on your second one, and it motivated you to because of the motivated you to write because of the situations and because of the events that you had to face in your life with your um, child, and that's just unfathomable for most
Mm-hmm.
people. Anyways, so what are your future? Let's say, what are your next and you're right. So the book has built a community around you and built a a following around people now know of that 1 pound child, right? What are your hopes on what you're trying to do um, with the community and in the future? I mean, it all comes down to helping each other and helping others.
Right. I
What are
mean,
some of your
so
goals?
so with the second book, the first book is kind of a description of inspirational stories and experiences and people that I've met and situations I've gone through. And the second book is more of an autobiography of our daily life and experience in that hospital. So I give a
Yeah.
detailed daily account of everything that led up to it,
Yeah.
why we were in the hospital room, and what happened when we left. So that's just a day by day, basically autobiography story of everything that happened. And my hope with that is that I can reach a community of people who are grieving. And, statistics show that, 1 in 4 people have had a child that they've lost.
Yeah.
Whether that, so 1 in 4 people can relate. And if they can't relate, they know someone who has lost a child, whether that was, no matter how it happened, I mean, they have 1 in 4, whether that's prematurity or whether that's a miscarriage. They had a child and they still don't have that child today. And I've met so many people who've had that happen since it's happened to me. And my hope is through the second book is that people will be bold enough and courageous enough to share their wounds. You know what I mean? Because you can turn those wounds into wins if you don't let the wounds destroy your future. And you got to be bold enough to name them and to talk about them and show your scars proudly.
Yeah.
Because they're not what define you, but they are a guide to which points you in the direction that's leading you to a different path.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope the second book does, is that people are not ashamed to be hurting. They're not ashamed to reveal what they've gone through. If it's going to help someone else, then we will be selfish to keep it to ourselves. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing this to get like sympathy for people to feel bad for me. That's the last thing I want. My hope is that people will be inspired enough to share their hurts that they went through, or when their time comes and they go through some trauma, that they will be bold and brave enough to go share it with the person down the street, at their church, at their community, at their grocery store, at their place of employment, wherever they run into people, and say, hey, you know what? Me too. I have this that I'm going through, but let me help you. I just want people to come together, and with that, from the second book, my objective is to take the content from that book and I want to turn it into a movie. So I'm going to start script writing for that second book here soon.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what I really love about that is, when you open up and you share your story and you share your journey and the troubles that you've gone through, it humanizes you. It shows you that you're vulnerable. It creates that connection, that human connection between two humans, that commonality, that and that's what's really powerful about being open and the way the human mind works, that if you don't open up, you almost feel like you're being stiff, or you're being overly somebody who thinks too much of themselves, kind of, right? So when you open yourself up by sharing these vulnerable stories, it it gives people a reason, a something like, he's just like me. I want to learn, I want to be friends with this guy, I want to learn more of what he's doing. And what's been amazing all of this May is that we've been doing these coffee chats on unconventional leaders, where we open up and talk about our pains and our problems and our what we learned from the tragedies and the adversities that we've gone through. And it's been very revealing. It's been very uplifting, as well as what's the word? It just connects us on a totally different level. So that's really powerful. I love what you're doing, man. Thank you so much for sharing.
I appreciate it.
Wow, this is very deep, man. So at this point of the podcast, I'd like to ask some questions to our guests, to come back to the theme of hacks and hobbies, and what are some of the hobbies. So some of the questions that I like to ask that connects us on a totally different level, because when we need some kind of outlet to enable us to get out of our mind, or use our right side of the brain, because 100% of the time, when we're working, when we're doing something, we're using the left side of our brain and analyzing everything. So I like to go into the hobbies and ask about that. So what is one hobby that you wish you got into?
I would say definitely there's probably two things.
Mm-hmm.
One is definitely traveling.
Yeah.
Traveling plays a huge part of my life. My family, we are some big time travelers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's one of our passions, and we get to go make memories in some of the most unique places in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. And I really didn't start doing that until I was probably in my late 20s.
Yeah.
I didn't really do much any traveling at all really prior, as far as vacations and things like that go. So
Yeah.
now I love it. Now we go a new place every single year,
Nice.
and that's something I wish I had started a lot earlier on in life for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
No, absolutely. Traveling is so amazing because again, you connect with the rest of the world and like, oh, people are doing the same thing no matter where you go. We're all the same. So that's really, really awesome and powerful. Thank you. Next
Definitely.
question I have is what did you want to be when you were a child?
I think there was two things I wanted to be. I wanted to be a professional sports athlete, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be a music artist. Those are two things as a kid that I aspired to become. But what I soon realized was that there's nothing wrong with dreaming. It's the problem with dreaming though is that sometimes we don't like to wake up to reality and go pursue the dream. That's the difference. The dreaming is like I go to sleep and I dream about being a basketball player in the NBA
Yeah.
someday.
Mm-hmm.
I dream of that. But the vision is what you do when you wake up from the dream. So I couldn't do it in real life, because I didn't have the complete drive. I had the desire. I think we all have the desire for our dreams, but the difference is, do we have the drive and work ethic and perseverance to pursue it daily? That's the difference.
Man, you said it right. It takes a lot of drive and that consistency on a daily basis. Mhm. Got my daughter here asking me questions. Yeah, it takes a lot of drive. It takes a lot of, that vigor. Like I always go back and think about Michael Jordan and Steve, what's his name? Kobe Bryant and Stephen Curry, and it's just amazing the level of expertise, the level of effort they put in to get to where they are. Right.
Definitely.
That's just powerful. It's amazing. Um, the other day I was reading an article around polymath, and I was like, "What is this?" So somebody actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I would love to be a guest on your podcast because I'm a polymath." So I'm like, "What is a polymath?" I went to this dark hole of searching about it, and what I discovered is a polymath is somebody who has a lot of different interests, and they're basically are mentioned as jack of all trades and master of none kind of thing. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I'll share that article. I think I shared it on UL earlier today, but it's really powerful on how it almost describes a lot of people that go through that, multiple passions into different things and how you can combine them to make you unique in who you are.
Hmm.
All right, next question. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
Oh wow. Hmm. I might need some time on that one. Oh man, you just threw me off with that question. I would say, I guess I'll go with TV show because that just pops in my head a little
Hmm.
quicker. It would be from my childhood. My
Yeah.
favorite TV show when I was a kid was Fresh Prince of Bel Air with Will Smith.
Oh man. That
Definitely.
show is so awesome.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
show always made me laugh. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
always had some comic relief, just put that show on and just find a
Yeah.
good way to laugh. I love that show for
Yeah.
sure.
It's so good. Nice. All right, next question. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it? Or you could pick a TV show too.
Hey, could you say that one more time?
What movie or TV show would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
Wow. I'd probably go. I'd probably go with something like Braveheart,
Mm.
with Mel Gibson. I just think that being bold enough to, no matter what, continue to pursue, even if
Yeah.
at all costs, even if it means risking your life for the greater good of others.
Yeah.
Sacrificial love, that's what it's about. Lay your life down for those you love.
Yeah. I think that was a really awesome movie. Next one. Who is your favorite superhero?
Oh man, favorite superhero? Wow, man, you're challenging me. You're challenging
Really?
me with these. Yeah. These are tough. Um, I would say Superman,
Superman.
and the reason why
Mhm.
is because, you know, no matter what, like, we all may pursue our goals and our dreams and our professions,
Mhm.
whether that's for me, right, it's writing or speaking, and
Yeah.
some people may say I do good at that or whatever they feel about me.
Mhm.
So that, during those times I'm wearing my cape, but ultimately that cape comes off and I got to step back into reality. I got to put the glasses back on, the
Yeah.
suit back on, and I
Yeah.
still got to be husband, and I still got to be dad. I still got to be a good son, a good friend, and all those
Amen.
other things. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I'm just a human being. I have weaknesses. I'm nothing. I'm just like anybody else. I have kryptonite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have some things that um, can trip me up.
Mhm.
I can't do it on my own. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why I would pick Superman.
I like that. I like the way you defined why Superman. I think that was really good. It's not that it's that he doesn't have to put a costume on to be Superman. He is Superman, but he has to put a costume on to be somebody who's taking care of the day-to-day, the mundane stuff. I think
Hmm.
that's a really nice way to put it. All right, this last question is, if you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh my gosh! So I've never been asked some of these questions. So
Mhm.
good job, man. I've
Thank
never
you.
been asked these questions in my life. If I was a board game, what would I be? Um, I guess I go with the game of shoots and ladders.
Ooh, shoots
Um,
and ladders.
be,
Oh.
and the reason why is
Mhm.
because, as you know, life is seasons. You know what I mean? There's seasons of life where there's going to be seasons of prosperity, but there's going to be also seasons of struggle. And there's going to be some times where you're moving on ahead, you're moving at a fast pace. You look, success is right there, and you're reaching for your goals. And then there's going to be setbacks that come and happen.
Mhm.
And what you can decide to do when that setbacks happen is that you can
Yeah.
just give up on the game and say this ain't worth it no more, and quit,
Yeah.
or you keep pushing forward. And yeah, you're gonna take a few steps forward and take a few steps back, but over the course of time, if you don't give up, you can
Mhm.
make it to the finish line.
Absolutely. That's a really good point, man. And what's funny is that life is a set of ups and downs, and we see that on a daily basis. We have a night and we have a day. We breathe in and we breathe out, right? So everything in life is a cycle. So when we see something come down, that means that something good's about to happen. We just got to train ourselves in that manner, and having that outlook on how real that is. It's just mind blowing, and some people just it like you got to have those sad moments to treasure when you're happy. Um,
Definitely.
it's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jesse, for your time, man. Where can my audience find you?
So people can connect with me on Facebook, um,
Mhm.
on my business page on Facebook, Jesse Cruz and Jesse A. Cruz.
Okay,
Also on Instagram, author Jesse Cruz. To get the book, people can buy on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com,
nice.
or through my publisher, PennantPublications.com, or a lot of people just order from me directly.
Cool.
And also for email, author Jesse Cruz at gmail.com. Those are all the best ways to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. So I'll be sure to include the links to your book, to your Facebook page, and your Instagram on the podcast show notes. Thank you so much for your time, my man, and wish you the best. And I'm looking forward to that movie, man. Let me know if I can connect you with some producers and directors and whatnot when you're ready.
I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Take care, my man.
You too.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for listening to our guest on this episode. Please send me an email at junaid@hacksandhobbies.com to tell me what you loved about our guest today. You could find links mentioned in this episode on the hacksandhobbies.com website.